So here we are, joined by Veronique Sandler. How's it going? Thanks for coming on.
Good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Did I say your name right there,
Yeah.
by the way? Cool. So
To be honest, I don't even know how to say it properly myself because it's French and I'm not French.
It's Veronique, or is it Vero for short?
Vero's good. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so thanks for coming on. Really appreciate coming on for episode number 10. Finally made it to the milestone of 10 podcasts. Yeah, I guess a good way to kick things off. Obviously, a lot of people who listen to this podcast are into mountain biking. I'm sure a lot of people know you, but what would you sort of explain, or how would you describe what you do to mountain bikers as well as non-mountain bikers? If people ask.
It's actually a hard question. I don't know, like people explain me as different things, but I'm a professional mountain biker, but I don't do any races, and I just do create content, make videos, and I guess it's more kind of on the freeride orientated side of things. Yeah. So videos of jumps and turns and just having good times basically. I don't like to say content creator because there's more to it than just that as well. But yeah, I don't know. I just have a pretty sweet job.
Just cutting around. I guess it's not too different to what we do.
Yeah.
Just basically posting clips on Instagram.
What do you call yourselves?
I don't know really, to be honest. It probably changes all the time. I guess I primarily call myself a trials rider, but it's obviously linked to mountain biking. Yeah. I feel bad saying I'm a professional mountain biker because I don't feel like a professional level mountain biker.
Really?
But yeah, maybe on trials bike, but yeah, I don't know.
For sure.
I try to stay away from the whole influencer content creator stuff.
Yeah, I hate the word influencer. I'm not,
I suppose it's kind of is what we are, I suppose.
Yeah.
But,
I feel like we could probably fit into quite a few different categories of whatever people want you to call you, I guess. I don't know. Influencer, content creator,
I guess it's
freerider.
Just compared to being a racer, it's just so easy for the racers to be I'm a racer. So
it's such a new thing, isn't it? There's not a distinct category of this kind of stuff. Yeah. Whereas racing's been around for so long.
That's cool. So that's a good sort of segue to talk about how. Well, I guess it'd be cool to just go back to what your sort of first sort of memories of riding and how you got into riding bikes. And do you remember the first day you sort of rode a bike?
Yeah. First time I got into mountain biking was through my brother Leo, who's a year younger than me. Him and his mates would go out riding when they were maybe 11, 12. And they always came home super hyped. So I was like, I got to see what this is all about. So I went out riding with them one day. Not proper mountain biking. We just basically went into our friend's backyard where they had a wall which went up like this, a wooden kind of wooden wall, I guess, with a grass drop on the other side. And they just had a board and they just put the board up against it and just send it off and then raise it up to the next bit of the wall. Just keep going up and up. So that's what we did at the start, and that was super fun. And that's kind of where I learned to do jumps and stuff. And that was my first memory, and that was what I enjoyed the most back then. And it's kind of still the same now, I guess.
Yeah, sick. Yeah, cool. So what sort of age were you at then when you first started riding?
I was 13, 14.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Sick. And where are you from originally then? So is this in New Zealand or?
Yeah.
So you're from born in New Zealand?
Yeah.
And then moved?
I grew up in New Zealand and lived there until I was 21. Okay. But I did, from the age of 18, I was coming over to Europe to race downhill World Cups and stuff. Yeah. And just for the season, then going back to New Zealand, working, getting enough money to come back over again, and just doing that back and forth for 5 or 6 years. So I was coming to Europe and around the UK from the age of 18, 19, but I moved here properly. I think I was 22.
Okay, cool.
21, 22.
So do you have any, have you got any ties to the UK, before moving here and stuff? No. Other than just coming here riding and stuff?
Yeah, I just got to, just through racing and stuff, I just got to know a few people who, through the race scene, over in the UK, who I got along with really well. Yeah. Yeah. So
did you just move over with your brother Leo, together?
No, I moved. He was living in New Zealand with my parents. Yeah. And then it was because I just had normal jobs and I wasn't sponsored to race. I was coming over here and I always just had enough money to go fly back home again. Yeah. So it was really tight. And then one year, I think it was 2015, when I was 21, 22, I came over here, raced the season, and then I ran out of money, so I couldn't fly home. So I had to stay. I had to stay in the UK for the winter and like work. I worked at Melon Carpenter's dad owns a skate park in Cardiff.
Okay.
So she got me a job there, and I just stayed like in South Wales over winter because I was too broke to fly home. And then that's where it all started, really. Like, and then I've not been back since.
Sweet.
So, yeah.
So was that was generally like your sort of way into professional riding, was like got into riding in New Zealand, became a racer?
Yeah.
And then what sort of like time frames are you talking about when you were racing then?
Like I just like when I grew up, I raced, like started racing like regional races, and I raced the national series in New Zealand. And then I started coming over and racing like European Cups and World Cups and stuff. Yeah. But I was never sponsored. I was just like kind of funding it myself because I really enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. And then when I moved to the UK, I still raced for a couple of years. But then I kind of fell out of love for it a little bit because I wasn't really progressing that much and my results weren't like what I was hoping to get. Mm-hmm. So I just kind of like took a step back and in I think it was like 2016 at the end of the season, took a bit of a step back and decided to just like work full time, ride for fun, and just like kind of go back to my roots, like how I just mentioned before, just jumping and having fun with my mates. And then I just like kind of documented it on Instagram, like my progression, like going out with my friends, trying to learn little tricks and stuff like that. And then it all kind of fell into place from there, I guess. Like started making a few videos, and then a few little companies were keen to sponsor me, and then it all just kind of like snowballed, I guess. Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah, it's funny how, from speaking to some different people on this podcast, it's funny how when you hear like, you hear sometimes instances of people like really trying to make something happen, whether it's like in your racing career, and it's like maybe not happening for you. And then sometimes it's like when you actually like, not to say stop trying or whatever, but when you actually like stop sort of really pushing it and like really wanting something, and then you actually end up getting what you're actually striving to get before.
Well, that is what you said. Like it is literally when I stopped, because I was trying so hard. I was racing, like I was working all the time to fund racing, and like training and trying to do everything right, but it just wasn't quite working for me. And then literally when I stopped trying and just started having fun and like, you know, just having a good time, and it all kind of like fell into place. So yeah, literally when I stopped trying, it all happened.
I think it's funny with like the whole social media and stuff, you can't really fake like having fun. So like, even if you kind of like, so it's like, once you actually just start like letting shit go, it kind of all just falls into place. Was there like a sort of, like you said, you got some certain brands come on board and stuff. Was like your sort of transition to like having a job and stuff and doing it for fun to being like a fully fledged pro rider? Was it like quite an overnight thing, or was it quite staggered?
It was, well, I guess at the end, like when I stopped racing and over the winter of 2016, 2017, I just was riding for fun. And then Wide Open Mag kind of picked me up as like immediate. I actually hit them up being like, oh, do you have any space on your race team for next season? They were like, oh, it's like too late. Our race team's already full up, but you can come on board as a media rider. And I was like, oh, that's awesome, because I like love making Instagram videos and stuff. And like, so it's all thanks to them really, because they allowed me, like, they didn't pay me or anything, but they like gave me support with a couple bikes and took me around to some events and did videos with me. So I kind of like found my passion for making edits and stuff because of that. They had like a videographer who worked with them that came out and like shot some stuff with me, and I really enjoyed it. So yeah. And then it didn't, they gave me, like, through Marin Bikes UK, they gave me a bike for Wide Open Mag for me to ride, sort of thing. So then I kind of got linked with Marin and with John Oldale and stuff. And then the year after that, Marin put me on the team properly. Mm-hmm. So, and then that was like, so I've been riding or associated with Marin for like 4 years up until this year.
Cool. So was that very much like a case of once you got that sort of contract, you were able to sort of give up working and stuff and focus on riding full time?
I was like, for a couple of years, I was still working, like, for the year on Wide Open Mag, I was still working pretty much full time, but I was trying to like, I guess, prioritize riding. So I'd find like really average little jobs. Like I worked at Pizza Hut at night so that I could ride during the day and like all that kind of stuff. So I kind of like prioritize my riding while still trying to make money somehow. And then it paid off because Marin like started supporting me a little bit, and then the support just like built up over the next few years, and then I was able to like kind of make it into a full-time job.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. It's interesting when you talk about the sort of racing and stuff like that. Do you think, especially in like the female side of things, with the way that the whole sort of like qualifying and the live stream and stuff structured, do you think for girls coming in, it's like quite hard to basically, because you'll know more than me, like I just heard little things from like say certain racers where if you're not say in the top 5 and you don't break into that top 5, it almost seems like it's almost hard to break into that because of the way that way that the racing structured, the way the qualifying structured and stuff like that. Do you think that's something that could do with being improved upon?
Definitely. Like I was kind of around the time I stopped racing is when they shifted all the rules around and stuff, and when I stopped racing, there was a massive, like a lot of the girls that I used to race with, which are around the same placings as me usually at the World Cups, which is like anywhere from probably like 7th up to 15th. Loads of them all quit at the same time because they brought in the new, I think you have to be in the top 15 to qualify. And then it's different now. Like when I speak to Tani, there's like a few different rules that change, but if you're ranked in the top 5, you get like extra practice and you get to practice at like closer time to your race run. So everything, it's all just like, it's definitely structured in a way. I don't know if it's purposely like that, but it's definitely structured in a way where if you're up and coming, it's super, super hard to break into that unless you like have some freak result or if you're like ridiculous at riding. So it's definitely not very encouraging for like young riders or riders who are like aspiring to be World Cup racers. But last year, probably because of Corona, but there was like there's only like 10 women at most of the World Cups. So I hope that's not what is going to happen in the future. Like I definitely hope, and it would be really nice to see like the structure change a little bit and be a bit more supportive for women. Yeah,
I guess it's just a difficult one where they're having to juggle like commercial stuff and all that. But at the same time, it definitely seems that in the women's field from the outside looking in, because obviously I'm not a racer, I'm just a fan of downhill. It definitely seems to be like if you do get into that little sort of like that bubble, whether it's in the male or the female field, it's like easier to then stay in it. But then if you don't like break into it, it seems to be like really hard. So
like Tani actually said to me recently, because she was injured for a lot of the season before last, so she came into the last season with like a ranking that was a lot lower than her normal ranking, and because she's always been in the top, she's never noticed how hard it is for like the women who are trying to break into it.
And but suddenly
she said she really was like, this is not okay. I can't believe, like she just like realized how it actually was for if you didn't have a top, I think it's a top 5 ranking or something like that. It's super hard.
I think it's maybe is it top 5 for girls? And then top 15 for the guys for being protected or something.
Exactly.
It's super hard, but it definitely seems to be the case of like once you're in, and then if you're not, like you say, unless you get like not luck, because obviously a lot of people make their own luck, but it's a hard one for sure.
And there's so much involved. Like you can get so unlucky and get a flat at 2 races in a row or something, and even though you're one of the top racers, then you're just like struggling for the rest of the season.
And it's like that could, and it's like you're struggling for the rest of the season. It literally could come down to like the difference of like a full successful career could almost get like nipped in the bud by like someone not maybe breaking into it. Whereas if they did, they could then become like one of the sort of leading figures. And
it doesn't help because it's so hard to make it as a female racer, like insanely hard. So that doesn't help the cause at all. It's like making it 10 times worse. It just makes it hard. But I love watching racing, so I really hope that like maybe the rules change or something happens, because it'd be cool to see like the women's side of it growing.
Do you think it's something you'd ever go back to, or?
Probably not. I really I love watching it. I have massive respect for all the racers, but what I do now basically is like I've realized it's so much more enjoyable for me. Like just the way my mind works and stuff. Racing's not really like the best for me, I don't think.
That's cool.
What
do you think from like sort of like non sort of elite level, not just for female riders, but for male riders, like what do you think sort of could be done to sort of encourage more people to sort of take up the sport?
Like take up racing?
No, just more like getting into it. So as like a young girl, like what would you sort of say to like a young girl who's like maybe expressed a bit of an interest in mountain biking or something to kind of?
I'd say just like go out and get amongst it, especially as a girl, it can be pretty intimidating, especially if you're like, you turn up to some trails or some dirt jumps and there's just like a group of professional male riders there and you're like, oh my God, like I don't even want to drop in. But if you try and put that aside and just like realize that everyone's a beginner once and everyone's like been in that position, then just get amongst it and you'll have a good time. And just like if you're really into it and you really enjoy it, just keep pursuing it, and it probably turn into something one day. Because that's what I did. I basically just like stuck with it and prioritized it over like everything else, and eventually it worked out for me. So
it's funny, like when you hear, I'm sure you get it in Insta and stuff all the time, when you're getting like young kids asking like how to get sponsored and stuff, and it's like so frustrating, because you just kind of, to be honest, like you would have been like that when you were younger as well, maybe, but like you just wanting to tell people to like, it's like what we said earlier, it's almost like by not caring about it, but when they like finally like let it go and actually just like ride for fun, I think that seems to be when stuff falls into place. Definitely. Rather than like, I
definitely wouldn't worry too much about trying to get sponsored, because I think when you get sponsored, eventually you will, like if you just keep having fun. And the cool thing with social media is no matter what kind of rider you are, you can like be unique and you can showcase it on Instagram or like on your social media. And if you're having a sick time and you're progressing and stuff, you will get recognized in the end. So don't stress about getting sponsored, just like keep having fun and keep doing.
I think that is the thing with Instagram, as much as it can be a bad thing, like getting obsessed with social media and stuff. The upside of it is definitely that, I'm sure it happens in all sorts of sports, but from what we know with mountain biking, it's like you pretty much, if you post good stuff, even if you're starting with, well, everyone starts with no followers, and essentially it's like everything does, like people notice it, and like brands will notice it, and basically like, stop asking to get sponsored, and that's it. You actually might get it. That's
it. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I literally got sponsored when I was trying my least hardest to get sponsored. So that just proves that you don't worry about that stuff.
Yeah. Do you think there's I know like certain racers and stuff will, like it was on Pink Bike recently as well, where people were saying that there's a bit of a disconnect between like what brands put value on in terms of race results and media and stuff like that. Do you think we've got to like quite a good level where it's like well balanced, or do you think it's...
What were they saying, that like media was valued higher than racing?
I think so, yeah. Where I think it's always been results in the past, and I think it was a case of like loads of racers or whatever struggling to get deals, and then like have like YouTubers and stuff like that. I guess it's just a difficult one.
That's a super hard one. I haven't really thought about that too much, because I'm just stoked to be in the position I am. Like I'm just like rolling with it while it lasts. But it is hard, because I know how hard races work. It's like such a gnarly full-time job, and like such an athlete specific, like they work so hard and train so hard. And then someone might, like you do see it a lot, someone jumps on YouTube who's like really not a good rider at all, but they just do like relatable things, and then they blow up and they probably get paid a lot more than like one of the top racers. So it is hard, but in a way it's cool, because those people who are like post relatable content, I think, encourage riders to get into it. And so it does like grow the industry, or grows like, I don't know, it's a hard one. I'm not against any of it. And I feel like I'm kind of maybe in the middle of those two things. Like I don't do YouTube, but I do
kind of like a media rider, but not necessarily like a mountain YouTuber. And it's like it's still more about the riding rather than
But like times are changing, and you do like, even as a racer, I think you do have to be pretty active on social media to be like valuable to a company, even as a racer. So
I think this year people have definitely, like you've seen a lot of racers do it, where they've like, whether it's YouTube or just like up in their sort of Instagram game, where they've realized, partly because there was no racing involved, but I think that's not going to change much even when racing comes back to normal, where basically everyone's just going to have to do a bit of everything kind of thing. And there's space for everyone, I suppose.
I think exactly. And to be more like, to be like an all-rounder, it kind of seems like the most valuable thing right now, to have like a bit of, be able to race good, do good media. I don't know, YouTube seems like a bit of a chore. If you're a vlogger, I don't think I could ever do that.
I was going to ask one thing I was going to ask you, is that something you've ever, because like with the sort of riding that you do, you've got like a good crew around you and stuff, which we could talk about later. You do kind of have like a good setup. That would sort of lend itself to doing maybe some more. It's something I mentioned to Cade, whatever.
Is it?
You guys are obviously like really active on Instagram. He was kind of like, I think he liked the idea of doing it, because I think him, because I said that him and Chaos were like, as a pair would be like a really, if they could be bothered doing it, not bothered, or just if they wanted to do it, it would probably be popular, because folk love to see them ride, just like love to see you guys ride. But it's quite a commitment, isn't it?
I think like even with Instagram, like I see a lot of people getting sucked into it real bad and ending up like kind of controlling their lives, and they're constantly stressing if they're not posting on there, and like they feel like they have to go out when the circumstances aren't great just so they can get something to keep their following rising and stuff. And then that results in them having, like, quite often you see people like saying, oh, I'm going to take a break off social media for a week, like see you in a bit kind of thing. And I try not to get it to that. I don't, because originally like Instagram was such a fun thing for me. It started out as like a fun, kind of like a hobby. So I don't want it to turn into a chore. So I feel like with you, I've spoken to quite a few of the big mountain bike vloggers, and a lot of them absolutely hate vlogging, but they make good money off it, and it's good for their sponsors, all that kind of stuff. So they just like keep doing it. And I don't know. And doing like, have you seen Axel Hodges, his vlogs?
And I've watched Axel Hodges' video yesterday, like
it's insane,
his actual
isn't it?
edit, which that was absolutely mental.
But he has like, he's not like on one of those super structured vlog setups. He's just got a cameraman with him who'll film like his day-to-day stuff. I think that's pretty cool. But the actual like thing where you're like, okay, what am I going to do today? I'm going to, I was going to just bring up something specific to something that's just happened. But if you're, some of them, you can tell that they're just searching for like, oh, what am I going to do today? Let me just go and do something really weird that I'd never normally do. That kind of thing, I think, turns into a chore and then maybe sucks.
Especially when I think it's amazing like how followers get expectant of content. Like if you say if they know that you post like on like a Tuesday and a Friday or whatever,
that's it.
If you suddenly don't post on that Tuesday, right? In some ways it could be good for encouraging you to like stay productive or whatever, but it's just getting that balance really, because I don't know.
I can see though, because I love watching Sam Pilgrim's vlogs. They're like the best. And even me, like when I like sit down to watch TV and he's got a new one, I'm like, yes, he's uploaded. I click on it. So but it is crazy. I think a lot, like, I mean, the mountain bike industry is growing, but some of the things I've seen on YouTube of like big mountain bike vloggers, people are treating them like they're off Love Island or something. It's crazy.
It's almost like you have like gossip on them and stuff like that.
Like, oh, they've broken up. How come? When are they going to release a statement and stuff? Like, what? Come on, like. It's
funny. I've chatted to Sam a little bit about it before. We're talking about YouTube and stuff, and I was speaking to him at Eurobike a couple of years ago, and it's funny because I'm sure he was on like, I think he's on 200,000 subscribers or something at the time. Maybe that's like 2.5 years ago. And he's like, oh no, I'm going up to like he's saying posting 3 videos a week, and he's like, I'm going to post 3 videos a week until I get to like a certain amount of subscribers or something. And it's obviously, and I'm sure he's on like, I wouldn't be surprised if he's at like 2 million now. He's got something insane. But I think he recently said he's gone down to 2 a week or something. So he's gone from like 3 to 2 a week, and he was just saying, because I think he edits all his videos himself. And he's just like, to me, he's like, he's like, I don't do it. And he's like, it's all he does though. I think he's stoked doing it. Because I think you would know if he wasn't in the videos, but at the same time, it's like so much work.
Exactly. That's why I like watching his though, because he does always do like he does funny stuff. He looks like he's enjoying himself, and he's such a sick rider. And it's gnarly though, because a lot of all his vlogs that are spread over, like he'll be like, okay, it's a new day and we're here. So it's not as if he's just punching out in a day, editing it, and then chilling for like a couple of days. Sure. It's like a full-time job, I reckon. Yeah,
I've done a couple of videos with Sam actually, and it was funny how like we did them in London. This was like a couple of years ago, and literally like on the way, I was like driving back up the road, stopping at like services, and he's like sending me a link on WhatsApp. He's like, oh yeah, that's the video up. And he's just like literally like turned around in like 4 hours and just like posted it. It's like pretty impressive. So
respect that he edits it himself and stuff.
I think his brother like films him, and then I think he's got like quite a good setup where he obviously coming up with ideas, but he'll have like a few themes, and he just like, I don't know, like the free bike thing. So then he just has like, it's like free bike challenge 135, so the bed bike. But
somehow he keeps finding more ridiculous bike.
So we're not going to see you vlogging anytime soon?
No. Like if I had the setup, it would be cool to do, like we've spoken about doing not vlogs, but like G up YouTube stuff where like my brother Leo will just document everyone going out riding for a day and like what we get up to, but not like specific vlog.
It doesn't have to be like you speaking to camera or whatever. Holding the camera yourself. It could just be like
just kind of like a little
miniature edit and stuff.
Exactly, so that could be fun, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's cool to see like we were up in Rev's Revolution Bike Park the other day, and it was funny seeing you guys like riding. It was like Chaos and Cade and all that were like riding, and it was the first time I've seen people ride mountain bikes like how we ride our trials bikes, where you're like actually out like sessioning corners and stuff. It's like pretty cool to see how it all works, and then like a few hours later seeing like all the clips like hit the internet and stuff, whereas we're very much like up and down on the e-bikes.
It's so much
staying
fun.
away from the jumps. So need to go and get some pointers from you guys on how to hit some of the jumps.
Yeah, come for a sesh. So good there.
Yeah, we were looking at, which would be a good thing to talk about, which is obviously like your vision line at Revolution Bike Park, which was part of a big, massive movie project almost that you shot with Adidas. How did that all sort of come about? Because obviously it sounds like only a few years ago you were working in Pizza Hut, and
literally.
Then a year or two later you're literally making like a feature length mountain bike film with pretty much one of the most mainstream sponsors there could be.
Yeah, I'm kind of like I'm still just like that. Like I said before, I'm just like kind of riding it while it lasts, because I'm still kind of trying to come to terms with it. But when I signed with Adidas in 2019, I think, me and CJ, who's like the athlete manager, we're just talking about some video. I was like, oh, let's do a video together, and she was like, yeah, sick. So we came up with a couple different ideas, and then the one that stuck was for me to build a line, like build some jumps somewhere and like just film the process basically. But I was thinking, like, I lived in South Wales at the time, and I was thinking just find a field somewhere and like hand build a couple jumps. But every time we spoke on the phone, or every time we had a meeting about it, kind of like grew more and more and more. So, and then
like they always seem to do.
Yeah, exactly. And then it turned into Vision Movie, which was just a movie about where we went to ride at all different kinds of places. We went to Barcelona, we rode in South Wales, where I lived at the time. We went to Madeira and checked out like Brendan's Death Grip line. Is it Death Grip?
Yeah.
Yeah. And kind of like gained inspiration from all those places, and then went to Revolution Bike Park and came up with like a pretty cool idea for a line which they built there. And then it's just still there in the bike park for people to ride, which is awesome. And then we all kind of got like all my favorite riders that rode for Adidas, or most of them were able to come, and like we all had a big session on the Vision line.
Yeah,
so
it's cool.
Awesome.
It's a cool video. We'll put the link in the show notes and stuff for those guys to watch it. But yeah, it's pretty cool to see like that sort of, it almost seemed like a sort of too good to be true, the way that you had an idea to build that line. And then James from Revolution Bike Park, obviously it sounded like he had kind of ideas to do something with that space, and then you kind of came together, and obviously Adidas backed it and built this. Like,
it was kind of perfect timing really, because we were trying to find a place to build a cool line. So we approached James, and he had already actually started building a line there. He had like one or two jumps which are already on Vision line, like the little drop and jump and the first double already there. And he was like, actually we can make this line, like we're building a jump line here already, so we can make this the line that you use for a movie if you want. So it was perfect. And it's such a good line.
It's cool, like you said before as well. It's cool that so often when things get built for bike projects, that it'll be very much a case of like, I'll either get like taken down, or it'll just kind of get left. It's cool that that's actually, because it's in the bike park, and obviously I'm sure there's a bit of maintenance to it, but it's actually something that people can go and ride.
That's what we
every weekend.
That was like the main objective of having, because the Madeira line was amazing, that Death Grip line, but it was kind of sad to see it all just like overgrown with grass all over it and stuff, and it's such an iconic spot. So we were thinking it would be awesome to have it somewhere where like everyone could come and ride it afterwards and all have a sick time. Because
there literally must have been like, literally thousands of people through that line now. After looking at it, like say, like we've been down in Wales for the last few months, and only went over to Revolution Bike Park for the first time last week and saw the line. It's definitely bigger. How would you explain, like, if obviously it's difficult because it's audio, but how would you describe that sort of line to people listening that haven't seen it in the film?
I'd say it's like I think the other day I actually counted, I think there's like between 15 and 20 jumps, and it kind of, I don't know, it's just, I'd say a medium large jump line with everything you want really. It's got like double step ups, hips, rollers, step downs, road gaps, all kinds of things, and it just works really. Like the way they've built it is ridiculous. Like you literally drop in and you don't have to pedal or break the whole way down all the way to the end. So yeah, they've absolutely smashed it.
It's cool seeing it. It's like a work of art, isn't it? Like seeing all the shapes and stuff.
Yeah.
James, it's interesting seeing James. Like I've obviously heard of James and Revolution Bike Park for years, but it's funny like meeting him and stuff and seeing sort of how much of a sort of central figure he seems to be to like the scene around here. It's cool to see like seems to obviously building stuff like yourself, Cade. Just kind of like facilitating so many cool projects. Like
literally like all the projects since Vision Movie, all the projects I've done which involve digging have been like kind of possible because of James or because of the bike park and him letting us have access to it and stuff. So without him and without Revs, I think my content would be pretty shit.
That's cool. So obviously with 2020 has been pretty mad for everyone with like lockdown and stuff. How did that sort of, I guess it's different for you because you're not necessarily racing. Probably didn't change your setup as much as other people, but how did 2020 sort of compare to a typical year for you without traveling and stuff?
Don't know, like it was mad to be fair, like because I do travel every year, travel a lot. So on that side of things, it was really weird, but it was kind of nice to spend. Like I've lived here for, well, at the start of lockdown, I'd only lived here for maybe half a year-ish, a bit longer than that. So I didn't really know.
But you were from somewhere else in Wales?
From South Wales,
Cool.
So, and for most of that time, I've been traveling like in and out of the country. So I hadn't had like a proper stint here where I could experience everything around and like properly appreciate where I live. So on that side of things, it was awesome to like kind of just spend more time at home. And it was summertime, so got to ride all the awesome spots around and like check them out. And then because I couldn't go away and do projects like usual, I lined up a build project where I built me and James built a little dirt jump spot in my local area. So opportunities like that I wouldn't have been able to do if Corona hadn't been a thing, because I would have been out traveling and stuff like that. So I learned a lot of awesome like things on the digging side of it, and I like built my skills up on the jump bike as well just through doing that project. And so that was really cool. But we had like, we've been on super strict like regulations for almost a year now. So even being able to travel outside of the small area has been super. I haven't been able to do it. So it has been a bit of a struggle at times, but compared to other people or people who live in cities and stuff, I think I'm pretty fortunate to be in this situation. Yeah,
for sure. It's almost like, I think pretty much everyone I've spoken to, probably because they're mountain bikers, have almost felt guilty because like feeling like you're having like a good time and stuff, and maybe not being as affected as bad as other people, and just getting a chance to sort of stay at home and actually realizing what you sort of what's good in life and stuff like that, and just actually being able to ride.
Definitely.
But it's definitely been a weird one. I saw on the one thing I watched the Live to Ride thing that you and Leo did with is it Nico? Yeah. And then one of the things you were saying that you were like sewing and stuff like that and selling stuff on Depop, and it was funny because like I was saying, like we were had to move out of our flat over Christmas time, and me and my friend Miles had like loads of clothes and stuff, and we were signed up to Depop, and we literally couldn't sell couldn't sell anything. And then I saw on yours, you're like literally like sold. So I don't know what, like we must be missing like a trick or something.
Were they just clothes like, like this t-shirt, was it just that, or did you do things to them?
It wasn't. It was mostly, it was just like old clothes and stuff that I had.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where we were going wrong. But I put them on eBay and they sold fine, but on Depop, literally like not a single
I feel like
bite.
Depop's a weird one because it's kind of like Instagram, isn't it, for selling clothes, but it's a pretty niche. I mean, people sell all sorts of things on there, but there's definitely things that do better. Like designer clothing, which I have nothing to do with, does really good on there. Or like vintage, like you can buy a vintage Adidas jumper for like 300 quid sometimes, just because it's like vintage and you can't get it anywhere else. But like I've tried to sell some pretty normal, like a puffer jacket, and it's still on there after like 3 years.
Just doesn't go anywhere. Oh well, it's good.
But you have to like, there's like algorithms to it and stuff. You have to put hashtags and like.
Yeah, we did all that as well, and it was literally like nothing. Put it on eBay and it was fine. And then to be honest, I ended up just giving most of it away. But Yeah, I had this thing in my head that I was like, oh, I'm just gonna go on Depop, and I'll just be able to like sell all my old stuff and like make some sweet money, but it just didn't happen.
If it's right, I know Tani and Kate and stuff do really well selling riding gear on there, or like goggles, shoes, all that stuff. They just link it, they put it on their Insta story. And loads of people, like, they've made so much money within like an hour before.
Like old sponsor stuff and stuff. That's
that
cool.
kind of stuff.
You've recently been doing the sort of X Games real mountain bike competition, is that what it's called? And we can talk about it because it's been, obviously the videos and stuff aren't out yet, but it's been published that you're involved in it. How would you, well, first of all, how would you explain the X Games real mountain bike competition to people who haven't heard of it before?
I guess X Games is like the most, I guess it's like the pinnacle of extreme sports or action sports competitions, all kinds of different competitions, like video competitions, actual, you know, they have like the X Games events and stuff.
It's kind of like action sports, Olympics.
Exactly,
It's close to that as you have. Obviously, the video contest you've been doing is like, it's been running for a while with other sports, but this is the first year of mountain biking. So when did you sort of find out that you'd been sort of picked or asked to do it?
It was like in September 2020, I got an email that went to my junk folder, and the title was like X Games Real, like something like that. I was like, oh, whatever, that's just spam. So I didn't look at it. Oh, really? And then I got another email like, hey, Vera, I wonder if you've seen the email. I clicked on it and I was like, oh my God, it's actually like a real thing. Because I never thought I'd ever, I literally never in a million years thought that I'd be approached by those guys. Yeah. So I was like absolutely mind blown, and I still am now, to be honest. Kind of can't believe that I'm part of it. But I think it's really, really cool for mountain biking to be involved with something like that. And I've watched Rio, Rio Moto, like all those things. I've watched those for years and always been a massive fan. So I've always kind of like low key hoped that one day there'd be a real mountain bike. I never thought I'd be a part of it, but I thought it'd just be cool to have real mountain bike. So it's awesome. I think those guys have been trying to make it happen for a while. And it's like finally come through for them. So it's awesome that they've kind of like pushed it and it's finally become a thing.
Yeah, it's cool. So it's like basically six riders?
Yeah. 6
riders, 90-second video. Yeah. And you kind of have to just cram all your best riding into that. How was it? How did your approach change at all with it being, I guess it's weird because it doesn't seem like a competition because it's very much just you making your own video, but how did that sort of, was your mindset kind of different for that as it would be compared to making a different style of video? Yeah. It was just kind of standalone thing. Definitely.
Like for me anyway, I've never had the opportunity to like kind of direct my own video. It's always been like for a company. So they'll have a concept and they'll have a videographer there who's like already doing certain things, or like they'll tell me where to go for it and stuff. So there was like a huge amount of creative freedom, and I really wanted to have all the feet, basically everything that I rode for it wanted to be something that I'd built myself with a crew. So we pulled that off, which was pretty cool. But that it took a long time to do the digging because obviously it was winter and I didn't take into account that everything is going to be super wet and probably collapse a load of times. We have to go and rebuild it. So in terms of like, I spent so long digging that I didn't really have much time to practice the riding side of things.
Just have to send it.
But it was so cool. Obviously, like you mentioned before, James helped out a lot and let us use part of a bike park that's not been used for trails before to build a few things. And him and his builders helped out massively by building some awesome jumps at somewhere else at the bike park. So without them, again,
I guess that's going to be a setup that maybe unlike vision won't necessarily be something that will be hit by. Probably most punters won't want to hit that.
I think if that was in the bike park, it might be a bit of danger. But other than that, like we built a few things around the local area. Obviously, because of Corona, we had to keep it super local and keep like in our households, which made it a little bit awkward as well. Yeah. So I couldn't have like a massive dig crew from all over the country. But I'm pretty stoked with how it all went, really. Quite a few things had to change, and I had like pretty high hopes of what I wanted to do at the start, but then I realized halfway through it's winter, some of the features aren't going to work, I'm going to have to, but I'm just stoked to put out probably my best edit I've ever put out before, so, and stoked to be a part of the event.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing it. It'll be cool to see everyone's riding it. It's like we were chatting to Danny earlier, who's obviously had a part in it. I've helped him a little bit, and it's funny, sort of, whilst it is a competition, it's like, it is very much a case of, I think action sports like that generally, so mountain bike's no different, where it's just kind of like a bit more of a community, and even though it doesn't feel like a competition basically.
I don't feel like I can't compete with any of those guys anyway, so I'm just like really hyped to see what they've done, because I think everyone who's involved is like crazy creative in their own ways, so it's
quite a diverse set of riders. It's like sort of no video is going to be sort of,
and I think it's different because technically I guess you could call it like a free ride competition, but all the riders are from different backgrounds and have such different styles of riding that it's gonna be hard to compare them to each other.
I don't feel envious of the judges, that's for sure. It must be so hard to,
definitely.
Because how does it work? Is it basically all judged, or is there some sort of voting involved?
There's I think it's judged on the filming and the riding, so 50-50. It's like you and your videographer, that's a team, and it's just judged, but there's also a people's choice, I think. Okay. So like someone will win that as well.
Ah, sweet.
So
kind of like Rampage, I suppose.
Yeah.
So was it Joe Bowman you've worked with have you worked with Joe before on other things?
But I've known Joe for years. Like when I used to race World Cups, we used to always have a laugh and stuff. And so I just thought, and I've worked with him before on a couple videos. One of my favorite videos I've ever done was a Marin, a launch video for a new Marin like years ago. And that was with him, and I had so much fun. So I thought I'd hit him up for it and see if he was about. And he was like out of the country filming a load of stuff, but we managed to pull it off in the end. Like he came down from Sheffield for a couple of sessions and we got it done. Ah,
class.
So yeah.
Looking forward to seeing it. Another thing would be cool to talk to you is obviously for 2021 you've got a new sponsor, Santa Cruz bikes, Santa Cruz bicycles. How did that all sort of come about, and must be pretty class to sign for such a sort of, well, you've been working with Marin, which is such an iconic brand from America, so Santa Cruz as well, but how did that sort of change come about?
Actually through Jobo as well. I guess he works pretty closely with them and does like a load of media for them. So he hit me up and like sometime endish of last year saying, oh, by the way, the guys from Santa Cruz are keen to speak to you. And I was like, oh my God, because it's kind of just like a childhood dream sponsor, I guess. Yeah. And it's always, they do such cool stuff within like the mountain bike community. So I was pretty hyped on that. So we just like chatted to them on the phone and then like linked up and talked about some ideas and stuff, and then I went from there. So yeah, super stoked on the new setup. Yeah,
cool. That was one thing that was quite cool to see is not that a lot of bike brands initially like split and bad turns. It was cool to see with Marin yourself, like the way that relationship also happened, and then just with like the video and stuff that you guys did was like super cool to see. It's kind of like between yourself and those guys, it's kind of like how moving on should be, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool to see.
I literally shed so many tears with it. I didn't even. They released like a little video saying thanks with all the different riders, and it was the best thing ever. Those guys are sick, and I'll always be like forever grateful for everything they've done for me, and like they've literally allowed me to make my dream career a thing. So I owe a lot to those guys. That's
class. Yeah. So have you got any sort of projects with Santa Cruz lined up at all, or is it all top secret?
It's not top secret, but we've got some stuff lined up, but they're not, everything is all down to obviously COVID and stuff. So we've got ideas, but we're just waiting to see if we can do them or if we're going to have to like do them in certain locations and stuff. So, but the next one with them will be like a new bike launch project, which may be a video, may be something else, but pretty excited for it. And then, a couple more like kind of slow burner things over the next year or so that I'm pretty stoked on. Yeah,
cool. I guess it's pretty hard to plan anything at the moment, isn't it? Where it's good to plan and then like be ready to change, but then sometimes it's like, I think for like, because we had a year of sort of plans getting canned, it's almost like getting to the stage where like nobody can be even bothered. It's almost like, why don't we just like sit on stuff until we actually know it can work?
Yeah, it does. quite a few people seem to just be like, what's the point? Like, it's just going to be cancelled all the time. So, but yeah, it is hard. Especially, I feel bad for the guys like marketing guys at companies trying to come up with ideas.
Yeah, it's like,
there's not that much you can do in this situation.
Yeah, for sure. We talked about it a little bit with like your sort of lockdown setup and all that, but you've obviously got a bit. We talked a little bit about the crew as well, like how you ride with Tanny and Leo, your brother, and stuff like that. How sort of important do you feel that sort of group is to sort of progress in your riding and getting you kind of where you are, kind of thing?
Is massively important, I reckon.
Yeah.
Or it's definitely like shaped me into the rider that I am. And riding, like, people quite often ask me like, oh, who do you look up to most as a rider and stuff? But honestly, like all the crew are the people who I look up to.
It doesn't actually need to be like an older rider, whatever.
Yeah,
it's actually just
or like an idol.
Yeah.
It's literally just the whole crew. Every time we go out riding, I'll just watch them do insane stuff, and that will inspire me to try something similar, or like just to send it, or and everyone's always pushing each other, which is cool. Always like giving each other tips and helping each other out. So it couldn't really be a better setup. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's good. I think like with you and Tanny, it must be quite interesting where you must be like so like better at different things basically, and you can imagine you guys like feed off each other, and maybe you'll help her with stuff that you're maybe like better at, and then she's maybe better at other things, and it sort of works. Well, from outside looking at it, it seems to be that sort of works pretty well for you guys. It's
awesome. Like if we go to a bike park and do laps, it's just like, oh my God, teach me how to ride so fast. Yeah. And then when we're doing like learning some tricks and stuff, it's awesome to like give her a few pointers and hype her up, because she's got so many skills and she can do like anything. But like me, it always takes a bit of courage to like try and actually just do a trick. Like even just like take a hand off, or like just getting to that stage is super hard. And some of the guys sometimes they don't like feel that. Really, they just go and do it if they're scared. Yeah. Whereas like me and Tanya are kind of like, oh, like what if I die and stuff? So it's cool to have like another girl to sort of like, we feel each other's pain. Nah, not pain, but like, I guess we like we have like a similar like mental process, whereas the guys are just like
a bit more gun ho.
Yeah.
Especially the guys that you guys ride with, where it's like absolute madmen with like do some pretty like mad shit. Yeah. But like I say, it was cool to see you guys riding. We were riding revs the other day, and me and Danny were almost embarrassed to like ride through like past like Cade and Chaos. We're like filming like the sickest whips on like these like tabletops, and like me and Danny are like barely even clearing them like trial style. But definitely something. Since riding revs the other day, I really want to. Well, I think we're going to go this afternoon actually. So hopefully gonna get into jumping. No, not hitting Vision Line today, but. It's like super. It was like almost depressing for me to watch. Like after seeing those jumps, and then I watched Vision again last night because I knew you were coming on, and it was just like how easy everyone in the video like makes riding that line look. Yeah, and but if you did it, it would be just as easy for you. Yeah, I guess definitely. It's so chill. It works so well. Yeah. I was well intimidated when I first saw it, and I hadn't hit it yet. Like, oh my God. Well, I guess it must have been quite stressful for you, where basically like you didn't have an option not to hit it, because they'd literally built it for you for the video, and it's like... That's why I was like, this is for me, but can I even do the line? But it was fun. Had like James, do James and stuff, do they ride the line like as they build it kind of thing to see that it all works? Like a couple of guys on the dig crew are ridiculous riders. Yeah. And he'll like, a couple of them always joking how they'll build like a massive jump, and James will be like, oh, by the way, I need you to bring a bike tomorrow and hit it like at 8 a.m. to test it. And then the boys are like, oh my God. Yeah. But it's like the perfect setup, because they're really good at digging and then amazing riders, so they can just work. That's why Vision works so well, because they can just work it all out and dial it in. Yeah, because I guess like you could so easily have built that whole thing and it maybe not have worked. But so when you sort of drop into that line, was it very much a case of like, do you do it in stages essentially, or do you just like follow someone in like James who's built it and just hit it all in a winner kind of thing? With Vision, because though, I like how I'm asking this weird. I'm just basically trying to get like trying to figure out how I'm going to try and tackle it at some point. With Vision Line, you can literally follow someone who knows it, and if you get one feature good,
just go for the next one. That's how it works.
Yeah, and if you do like trip up or like case or something,
then just maybe just go
reset.
But I guess with different jump lines, it's different. Like some are crazy where you'll do a jump fine, and the next one you have to sprint into the next one.
Yeah.
But with vision, it's literally just a case of if you get the one good, you'll get the next one, and then if you mess up on one, just stop and go back up and cruise through. But they're all so nice and work so well.
Nice. Need to try it.
Yeah.
Need to get some pointers though. Follow somebody in.
Definitely.
So what's obviously talked about like future stuff for this year. Where do you sort of see your career going in the next, like, I don't know, like 3 to 5 years or even longer? What do you think you'll be up to, or have you not really thought that part?
I don't really look that far ahead, to be honest. Like I kind of just try to, it's not like I don't have any goals, but I kind of have like projects that I'm gonna, like, I always want to give my best, if you know what I mean. So I've got projects that I focus on really hard, and then once that one's done, then I'll just focus on the next one, kind of thing, and just sort of do that like step by step. But I just like to like keep progressing as a rider and hopefully making good content and having fun, and then I'll be stoked. I don't have like a huge goal of like, you know, do something gnarly in 5 years time, but yeah.
That's cool. That'd be interesting to see where it all goes. It's like, I guess it's not something you really think about too much. I know I don't think about it too much, and it's like, I don't know. How old are you, by the way, actually?
27.
Ah, okay. So you got plenty of time. Like us old
I don't know,
boys,
do
like, I guess so. At riding, it's not too bad.
I mean, if you look at like Steve P or something.
Yeah,
then,
or Hans Ray.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah.
He's like, I don't know, I think he's like 70 or something.
Yeah, is he? Respect.
Nice.
Anyone else who can pull that off.
I really hope Hans, I say that in a way, but Hans basically, like, people probably think I'm being like a total dick by saying that, but me and Hans have this, like, he's always, we troll well, when I say we troll each other, he trolls me hard on Instagram all the time.
That's what he deserves.
He's always like, if I ever post a clip, he's always just like, I'll be like, oh, nice 180. And he's like, that's a 175 if you're lucky, like, or just like everything. It's just like a constant barrage of abuse. So
low-key beef.
Need to give him some back.
Respect to him though. Some, like, if anyone can pull off a career that long, then mad respect.
It's absolutely amazing like what he's done. He was actually here doing a shoot with Crank Brothers a couple of months ago. So it's pretty cool to see what he's up to. But he's definitely like a pretty good blueprint of like how to make a long career and like still deliver, like still be relevant basically.
Yeah.
Like he's talking about like editing YouTube videos and having a YouTube channel.
No way.
Yeah, and like the magazine coverage he gets is like insane. So
respect.
Pretty cool. So you think we'll see you as like a
female Hans Ray
50-year-old adventure rider in the future?
I don't know. I'd like to keep going as long as I can. It's like what I enjoy the most. So I can't see, unless something mad happens, I can't see myself not riding ever. Like, I know there's a couple women that you see every now and then, like in Whistler, you'll see like a 65-year-old shredding the bike park. I'd like to do that one day. Yeah, so
I guess like with what you're doing now as well, it's like not so dependent on results. It's like, it suddenly opens that door of like, I don't know, being able to maybe do that, and like you're not needing to be like top 5, top 10 at like a World Cup, and you can actually just like go out and have fun, because I suppose in some ways that's like a high value demographic for brands. It's like maybe slightly older people that are still into mountain biking.
Definitely. Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping anyway. So
I know.
So you don't have to go and get normal jobs.
I know. Back to Pizza Hut. Nah.
Cool. Nice one. Well, I think that's like, we're nearly at an hour, so I won't hold you for too much longer. I'll let you go riding. But yeah, thanks again for coming on. Where should people hit you up if they want to keep following you?
It's on the gram, really. Veronique Sandler, that's my name. And
I'll put the Vision movie on the show description as well. Awesome. Definitely recommend people. Is it on iTunes? Yeah, it's on Red Bull TV now as well, I think. Okay, cool. So people can watch it for free. Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, there you go. I'll put it down for you guys there. Sick. Sweet. Thanks very much. Thanks for having me. Nice one.